We are live. Hey guys, what's going on? James here. Welcome back to another episode of the MrBucsNation podcast. Joining me as always is my co-host. It is Billy Will _Walsh _NFL. You guys can go check him out at the top of the description. We're trying to get him to 1,000 subscribers. Billy, how you doing today?
Doing good on a Thursday, James. Doing good on a Thursday.
Yeah, happy Thursday to everybody. Now, the plan is that we're going to have back-to-back shows, right? We're going to have a show today. We're going to have a show tomorrow because we didn't have one last week. So that is what it is.
James,
Um,
is that in honor of the first back-to-back champion, Super Bowl champion, since the Patriots of the early aughts?
no, it's not, because why would I want to honor that? But you know what? Might as well just start with that, right? Get the non-Buck stuff out of the way. Okay. Super Bowl's over. The 2023 season is over. The Kansas City Chiefs won. They won. They're two-time champs now. They defeated the San Francisco 49ers. I would hate my life if I was Kyle Shanahan. That is awful. To lose 3 Super Bowls and come from behind losses, essentially. You know, you gave up the lead in three Super Bowls and lost all of them twice to the same team.
Yeah.
Sucks. But the result wasn't surprising to me to see the Chiefs win. What were your thoughts and opinions?
Yeah, I don't think it was surprising either. If I'd have told you in September, right before the start of the season, hey, Kansas City Chiefs going to win the Super Bowl at the end of this thing, you'd have probably agreed. If I would have told you before the playoffs in December, hey, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl, I probably wouldn't have gotten that much pushback. So, no, I wasn't surprised. I know they were underdogs, but I don't understand how or why. The actual game, I'm glad it was a good game, right? Came down to the end. I enjoyed getting a whole extra quarter of Super Bowl action. You know, that was a deep overtime experience, which is nice. It wasn't like just quickly get into overtime and then we're done.
The second
It was
ever
lasted.
overtime.
Yes, and more football is always good football. So definitely thankful for that. But yeah, the end result, I mean, once the 49ers got a field goal, anything you might have thought maybe throughout the game the Niners might pull this off, or maybe you always were, thinking the Chiefs were going to do it. But once the Niners kicked that field goal in overtime and, there wasn't a massive special teams gaff, so Mahomes was able to run on the field and play offense, you're like, well, that's the game. I don't think anybody thought Mahomes was not going to score a touchdown at that point in time. It would have taken something colossal to prevent that from happening.
I agree. I think that, it was basically a foregone conclusion. It just, the 49ers were playing like a team that just didn't want to lose, and Kansas City was playing like a team that just wanted to win. I mean, it's as simple as that. Not to really oversimplify it or anything, but that's just kind of the way I viewed the game as a whole, was kind of how it went. So I mean, it is what it is. Congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs. They're champions now yet again, and we will see if they can the three-peat. Right? That's the
Yeah.
conversation.
The three-peat is if they could get the three-peat, which certainly, they'll be the favorites to likely go back and win again at the start of next season. It's probably, if I had a guess, going to come down to health more than anything else because it's hard to stay healthy with your star key guys for, 3 straight seasons. But yeah, if they could get the three-peat, that would be a really big like notch in Mahomes' belt, I think. As far as when push comes to shove, the GOAT debate will come down to Mahomes versus Brady. And, everybody, it'll never be unanimous, but if he three-peats, there's very few things he could do, I should say, that Brady hasn't. A three-peat would certainly be something that he could always hold over Brady's head if he is able to accomplish that.
Yeah, the three-peat obviously would kind of change the game a little bit. I don't think I'm gonna say this, and we talked about this. I don't think Mahomes is ever gonna reach Brady's amount of Super Bowls that he had won. I just don't think that that's going to be the case. But, hey, Mahomes is easily a top 10 quarterback in NFL history now. I think
Yeah.
that's a fair thing to say. So we'll see if he keeps on climbing. Again, the AFC is stacked. Baker Mayfield's going to be around a little bit, a little bit as well. So we'll have to wait and see. But speaking of Baker, I do want to talk about this because we neglected isn't the right word. We didn't have time to mention this before, Billy. Baker Mayfield. No, actually, I want you to take the reins on this because I don't know what the heck happened. Um, in terms, I knew it was a hot mic thing. Baker said something on a hot mic. I don't remember where it was, and I don't remember what he said. So, what
Okay.
what happened?
Sure. Tag me in. I like it. Baker Mayfield it was on the Kay Adams show, which I believe is called Up and Adams, which is a very punny name, and
That's
I
a
enjoy
that's a
that.
great name, by the way.
That's fantastic. So, yeah, it was on the Up and Adams show. He was talking to Steve Young, and they were standing off, like kind of in the back, offset, but on set but offset. And Gronk, of all people, was on the couch talking to Kay Adams. Now, the mics were rolling, the cameras were not, and Gronk was sitting down, it looked like, for an interview, or getting up to leave an interview. But I believe he had just finished his interview and then Baker came to sit down with him after, and the two of them were on the couch together. So he was caught talking to Steve Young, and basically, although Gronk is very loud and talking over him, you can make out some bits and pieces of their conversation, Baker and Steve Young's, and you can extrapolate, use your context clues, and he more or less said that his plan, or the plan, was to re-sign in Tampa Bay, get some pieces back around him, and kind of, get a fresh start to his career.
Okay. Well, that's certainly notable. By the way, three former Bucks in that equation you mentioned,
Yes.
right?
Beautiful too. Two of them Hall of Famers. So, or in the case of Gronk, future Hall of Famers. So maybe, Baker and some rare air there.
Yeah. Real quick before before I give my thoughts and opinions about that, and I will ask you obviously your thoughts and opinions about that. Willie Beeman in the chat, Q Kells in the chat, Kidada Smith in the chat as well. Hello everybody. Um, thoughts and opinions about that. It's not surprising to to the members of the Baker Brigade. To the leaders of the Baker Brigade. It's not surprising. Um, this is something that we heard about this, right, Billy? That the Bucs and Baker Mayfield had mutual interest in him re-signing with the team. Baker had a really good year. For goodness sakes, Billy, they brought in his former offensive coordinator. I mean,
They
yeah,
consulted him on the hire.
yeah. I mean, well, actually, yeah. Kind of explain that situation to me as well.
Yeah, so when Baker was at the Pro Bowl, because
So
Tampa Bay
it's
Buccaneers had a Pro Bowl quarterback last year. I'm not sure if people also won the flag football game and the skills competition, precision passing, beat out CJ Stroud. It's fine. He was Pro Bowl MVP. So when the Pro Bowl MVP was talking, one of the things that came up in conversation was, of course, hey, the hire of Tampa Bay Buccaneers' new offensive coordinator after, of course, Dave Canales' departure. And Baker Mayfield alluded to the fact that the Buccaneers did not that they came to him and just said, "Hey, who do you want us to hire?" But that he was involved in the process, and they did have discussions about, basically his input on certain candidates.
now I will say this. That's not a new thing. Okay, I do want to say that teams do that a lot, and whether it does come out or doesn't come out, like of course you want your most important position to be good with the offensive coordinator hire, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just looking at all the different things and whatnot over here. Like I have an entire board of all the teams in the NFL. Yes, it's a thing. Okay, it's not just like the Bucs are the only team to do that. So that shouldn't be like shocking or being like, whoa, what the heck? What's going on with this? But it is notable, right?
I think it's maybe a little bit shocking because while I agree it's not necessarily a rare occasion, but it is you're asking a guy who's not even technically under contract for the upcoming season, hey, what do you think about this move for the upcoming season? So it alludes again more to the fact of kind of the same thing that Baker Mayfield was caught on the hot mic talking about, that the contract is not done, but it's already a foregone conclusion that it will be.
Yeah, I would say that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. At this point, and it's something that we've been talking about for weeks and weeks and weeks. Um, but it just seems like that everybody wants to get a deal done. I mean that's just the way it is. I mean, um, whether you agree, whether you disagree, it just this is what is happening, right? So taking those two things in combination, getting Baker Mayfield's input on the Liam Cohen hire, which also, by the way, I mean, Todd Bowles may have just had that 1 year of Dave Canales and said, wow, I really like the West Coast style of offense. Let me get another guy in there who does that. I mean, that would make sense too. It worked out pretty well for the Bucs um, in the first year of that style of offense. That can also play a factor into it as well. But yeah, the fact that they are asking Baker Mayfield's opinion of it, the fact that, as you said, he was, I don't want to use the word caught, but he did have a conversation with Steve Young saying, hey, I want to put down my roots here. I want to
Yeah.
make a career here. I think that all leads to the idea that he's going to more likely than not be back in Tampa Bay, Billy. In fact, I mean, me and you have both gone on record by saying he is going to be back in Tampa Bay.
Yes, last podcast we did, you were big time definitive on that. You were 100%
Look,
on Baker Mayfield.
it's the off season of definitive takes, Billy. Okay.
Yes.
Q Kells asks, how much is too much to re-sign him back? I believe that's in reference to Baker Mayfield. Billy, what's your number?
I think we when we were given the estimates, and I'll stand by it. I think it's going to be a 3-year contract. I'm going to say somewhere between I'm going to say around 100, maybe 110 million. I don't think for the Buccaneers, this is not me, my perspective. I'm just trying to put myself in the shoes of the Buccaneers front office and company. I don't think there is a number that's too much because I think the Buccaneers are desperate for what Baker Mayfield represents in their eyes. So if Baker Mayfield, and we kind of hinted at this last time, if he holds their feet to the fire, which I don't think that he will, but if he chooses to go that route, I don't think the Buccaneers are going to let him walk. So I think they're going to, they're going to do what they have to do to keep their guy.
I would disagree a little bit on that. If Baker said, I want $70 million, like, obviously there is a limit, right? Like, there is. Like, if Baker said, give me $50 million per year, it would
You
be
don't think
like,
they'd give him 50?
I don't think they would. I,
I,
I
I also don't think they would give him 70. 70, yes, I agree. But you don't think they would give him 50 million a year?
no, I do not. I,
Okay.
I do not. So, and there's obviously two different ways to take this question is what would we personally be comfortable with paying Baker Mayfield and what would the Bucs be comfortable with paying Baker Mayfield, okay? To answer the second part of that, what would the Bucs be comfortable paying Mayfield? I think the max that they would be comfortable paying, and you can disagree with this, in fact you probably will disagree with this, is 40. Is that rumor of the Daniel Jones contract. That is what I feel like the Bucs are comfortable paying. Where would I be comfortable paying Baker Mayfield? I would be
Yeah.
comfortable at 30. I would be uncomfortable when you get to like 35. The higher we get more past 30, the more I'm like, ooh, that's a lot of money.
Wow.
But I may feel that way paying any player that much money. Unless it's like a Mike Evans and you're like, okay, well, I know this guy's a Hall of Famer, so
So you're uncomfortable at 35.
I'm not like I'm not like wincing in pain, but I would but I think that there is obviously the idea of like you hear any contract for anybody getting $35 million, the reaction is going to be that is a lot of money. Like when I heard the Patrick Mahomes contract, I was like that is a lot of money.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really that yes, it would make me uncomfortable, but I think it is also fair to say that like I probably have that reaction to anybody getting that kind of money. When I saw Daniel Jones got 40, oh buddy, I was like, "Oh, I was losing my mind." I was like, "Holy crap. That's a lot of money." So I think what makes me uncomfortable about it is the sheer magnitude of that number,
I
right?
understand. Yes, I do understand. I find that interesting. I'm surprised to hear 35 just because if I'm my prediction, right, 3 years, round 100, if you put it up to 105, right, that's 35 a year. So I think that that's very very within the range of possibility. 50 million, I just think that personally, I would not, 50 million is a very large sum, right? I just don't think, to me, I think the Buccaneers, and I'm surprised that you disagree. I just think the Buccaneers, I think they look at Baker Mayfield in a very special light, and they're not just not going to let him leave.
So I agree with that, but I would also say that there's always the caveat to say we will let him leave no matter what within reason. Baker asking for 50 million a year, that is unreasonable, right? And I would be hard pressed to say any team would give him
Well,
50
but
million per year.
I don't disagree with that at all. I think Baker Mayfield's largest value is with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and you and I have discussed that. I don't think he could get
Yes.
more money elsewhere. But if Dak Prescott, people are talking about Dak Prescott re-signing to make 60 million this year.
I wouldn't give
And
Dak that much.
I would not give Dak Prescott $60 million, but is Baker Mayfield, if Dak Prescott is given $60 million, then that is, the market, what your value is in the market is, the market bears it out. So if Dak Prescott does get $60 million, Baker Mayfield at 50 is not, it may seem outlandish to you or I, but from the Buccaneers' perspective, does that become outlandish, right? What is Baker Mayfield if he's on the Cowboys, and what is Dak Prescott if he's on the Buccaneers?
Here
I don't think that there's a huge gap between those two players.
here's my opinion as to what I think would happen if Baker if let's go through that scenario. If Baker did say, I want 50 million per year, I
Hmm.
think the Bucs would say that is and this is my opinion, that is unreasonable. Go see if you can get that in the open market. If you can, we will match that because apparently that is reasonable and we don't want you to leave. If you can't, let's come back and let's renegotiate. That's is that fair to say?
The problem is the Buccaneers are hamstrung with the schedule and the timing of things.
Yes.
It takes time, right? In that scenario, it takes time for Baker Mayfield to test the market, right? That's not just like okay, the market's been tested. It
It
takes time.
it
So
it does,
while
but
uh,
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, go.
But people forget that Baker signed on pretty quickly once the last offseason started.
But the problem is if Baker Mayfield does take any amount of time testing the market, you're running the risk of losing other players, namely Mike Evans. That's the issue the Bucs run into is, and I've been standing on this hill, and I will die on this hill if need be. Mike Evans and Baker Mayfield are not a tandem combined package, but Mike Evans will not be coming back if there is not a quarterback in place. That will not happen. So you can't just let Baker Mayfield test the market and say, well, let's just work over here with Mike Evans. Mike Evans is not signing on for some potentially random rookie quarterback. He's just not going to do it. He's going for history next year. He's at the tail end of his prime. He is not going to be interested in just a large paycheck with no promise of production, right? So if you get back Baker Mayfield, no, I don't think Mike Evans is automatically a packaged deal. But if you go to Mike Evans, having Baker Mayfield in place, that conversation is much easier than having to go to Mike Evans and say, well, we're letting Baker Mayfield feel it out. We think he's coming back, but, he's got to go over here first and go over here first. You're going to lose Mike Evans if you take that route, if you take the wait and see approach.
To the reverse of that, Baker also said, if I'm coming back, I want Mike Evans back. So could you also just say, Baker, go test out the market for a minute. We're going to focus on bringing back Mike Evans. Hey, Baker, we brought back Mike Evans. Oh, you didn't get the money you wanted. Well, we brought back Mike Evans. So, you know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
but
Where the
but
reverse could
you
also
can't.
happen.
But you can't get to that point where you could say to Baker, hey, we brought back Mike unless you bring back him first. Mike Evans has here the difference in the two is Mike Evans has leverage. Baker Mayfield has much less leverage than Mike Evans. There's going to be a lineup of teams. There's not a single team in the league that doesn't benefit from Mike Evans being on their roster next year. Okay. So he has all the leverage in the world to just walk. He's a free agent. Unless the Buccaneers, were going to do something drastic and franchise him or reach out with he has all the leverage to walk, and he will find suitors. Baker Mayfield's going to have a much harder time finding a team that's willing to pony up a large multi-year deal for him as opposed to Mike Evans. So Mike Evans can say, look, I'm not waiting around. I've been here my whole career. I deserve more than this. I deserve respect. I'm not going to wait for you to have this conversation over here, or better yet, for this player to have a conversation with some other team. Mike Evans has that ability to pull rank there. And Baker Mayfield, I just simply I don't think he'll have as many suitors. He doesn't he lacks the leverage that Evans has.
So we'll see. I mean, hey, it is an interesting discussion. It is a good discussion, right? I mean, I would say this: there is a lot of fluidity that could happen with this situation. There is, but and whether the numbers, I mean, look, we could go a lot of different ways, right? There's a lot of different scenarios that could play out, but we'll see. We'll see, man. It's a good conversation, though. It is a good topic to cover. Point being is this: before we went on that long discussion, Baker does want to be back with the Bucs, and it does
Yes.
seem like the Bucs do want him back. Now
And we're both on record as definitive 100% takes. Both Baker
he
and Mike
will,
Evans.
yes, they will be back.
They'll be back.
Now
We're
you
both
can
on.
now that the debate comes in the numbers, right?
Yes.
That's where
Yeah.
the debate comes in. There's no debate in saying they are going to be back. It's just a matter of how much and when is the discussion there. But it is a good discussion, and obviously, numbers are a very subjective thing. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. But he does want to be back, which is important. Speaking of quarterbacks, Bruce Arians had some comments recently. He spoke to a lot of reporters. Billy, where was BA talking to these reporters? Because apparently he spoke to Scott Reynolds, he spoke to Rick Stroud. Where was this? Was it
I think Bruce Arians wakes up and has reporters on his lawn just waiting for headline grabbing quotes.
possibly? And here's the thing. Apparently Bruce said that he loves the 2024 draft class. He specifically loves Michael Penix because Michael Penix does all the things that Bruce Arians likes to do in an offense. And that's just kind of the situation. So you technically have somebody in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers front office who loves this draft class, who loves Michael Penix. What are your thoughts and opinions about that, Billy?
Love Bruce Arians. Appreciate everything he's done for the team. But Bruce Arians is just like a quote magnet. He just releases quotes and they're always so clickable, like for headlines. Last year, right, we were treated to his takes on Will Levis, his takes on Baker Mayfield. He was fawning over Baker Mayfield last offseason, talked about how Baker Mayfield was, when he was a draft prospect, he was rated higher or graded out higher than any of the draft prospects from last year's quarterback class. And now you have transitioning into this offseason, more of the same. I think I wouldn't put a lot of stock into it. I think Bruce Arians is being honest. I think he likes Michael Penix. I could see why he likes Michael Penix Jr., but to me, I don't think Bruce Arians' role in the organization is that of a shot caller. So while his input is valid, I don't know that his takes represent the team's sentiments.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Now I will say, I mean, Kel says I definitely agree with BA. I mean, in terms of looking at it in a
In terms of
vacuum,
what?
in terms of look, he didn't say I love this for the Bucks. I mean,
Right.
he
Right.
said I just like Michael Penix and I like the 2024 quarterback draft class.
Right.
I agree with him. I like the
Yeah.
2024 quarterback draft class. I like Michael Penix. I thought he was an absolute beast in that Texas game, and then things fell off dramatically at Michigan. But there's a lot to like in this quarterback draft class. Baker, but BA did also say he believes that Baker's going to re-sign in Tampa Bay. That's another important thing to make a note of there as well. And BA also said that he feels like this is probably the best quarterback draft class in the past 10 to 15 years, something along those lines. Which maybe that will be the case. We don't know. Ultimately, that is an opinion that could be wrong. But I agree with his opinions of this quarterback draft class looks like it's going to be kick butt. I believe BA said there's going to be like possibly 6 guys taken in round 1. That's a possibility. And to say that he likes Michael Penix, I agree with that too. You then have to ask the question, which is a subjective opinion question of does it make sense for the Bucs? And some people are going to say yes, some people are going to say no. And BA didn't give his opinions on that. He didn't
Right. And
say
even if Bruce did, right? Even if you're interpreting his words as words from the organization, right? That's where I think you've got to like differentiate it. Like, does Bruce Arians at this point speak for Bruce, or does he speak for Tampa Bay? I think that's where you've got it, where the lines get a little blurry. Because I look at it and I say Bruce is speaking for Bruce, and I hear when I'm listening to your take, I think you're in that same thing. Like, yeah, Bruce likes this guy, thinks this guy's good. That's his opinion on a prospect at a position he's evaluated for years, his whole life. So that's his take. That doesn't necessarily mean that correlates to anything that Tampa Bay is thinking of doing this year or any decisions that they're making as an organization.
No, I agree. And that does lead to the question, right? Should the Bucs draft a quarterback this upcoming thing? It's the title of the podcast episode, right? And that's a loaded question. Should they
Yeah.
draft a quarterback? Well, in first question is in what round? Kells asked the question, would y'all be upset if the Buccaneers drafted a quarterback in the first round? That's the first question. Should they draft a quarterback in the first round? And right now the answer is I don't know. Because there's so many factors to that. Is Baker coming back? That is a big factor, right? If Baker comes
Well, let's
back,
let's assume let's assume for the sake of argument, because we've both been definitive, the hot mic,
mhm,
everything we talked about. Let's assume Baker is back for these
right.
hypotheticals.
So to answer Kyle's question, would I be upset if Baker came back and the Buccaneers drafted a quarterback in the first round? I wouldn't be upset. I may be a bit surprised because it wouldn't be what I would personally do, but I wouldn't be upset. I mean, just because one, there'd be no point in getting upset about that. And two is, you know, teams just do that. I mean, heck, the freaking Packers took a guy in the first round whenever Aaron Rodgers was there. I wouldn't be upset. I would be surprised.
I can't believe you just compared Baker Mayfield and a quarterback getting drafted potentially behind him to Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love.
it happens.
That was out of pocket, James. That's
But
totally different scenarios.
it is a different scenario, but I'm just
Baker
saying.
Mayfield is going to be 30
But
years
I am,
old.
but I am saying. My point being is that it does happen where you have a quarterback on a big contract, and then
When you
you,
have an aging quarterback, yes, Baker Mayfield is not aging.
yeah.
He's not, he's still in his prime as a quarterback. So you can't, yes, to answer that question, I would be upset because I would just look at it, not that I wouldn't be, it wouldn't matter who was selected. It just feels like a wasted pick to me because you're drafting someone that's an impact player based on, or should be an impact player based on the round that they're drafted in, and you're going to sit them down. And then even if you are going to potentially phase out Baker Mayfield after one season and you're going to phase this rookie in, so then it would feel like it's not a wasted pick, then you just wasted a ton of money in cap space re-signing Baker Mayfield. Either way, you took resources and assets and wasted them in some capacity. You didn't best utilize what you had available to you. If you pay big money for a veteran and then also go spend a high draft pick on a rookie, it doesn't make sense unless, yes, the Aaron Rodgers type of scenario where you know, where you're going to be phasing out that veteran because you just believe he may retire at a moment's notice. Or you have a situation like the Eagles with Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz, right? But again, the writing was on the wall for Wentz already. There is no writing on that figurative wall for Baker Mayfield and the Bucs.
So that's first round, right?
Yes.
Obviously, it goes deeper than the first round. Again, to recap, you would be upset. I wouldn't be upset, but I would be surprised, right? Uh,
I would be shocked and upset. I'm just
um, and is it a possibility? Maybe. I mean, I I've seen some more shocking things in the NFL. Um, but going past that, going to round two, three, four. Let's say that's the next grouping, right? Two, three, and four. Would you take a quarterback in those rounds? Uh, that's a tough situation as well, in my opinion. It would be less surprising, but the one thing that comes to my mind is, again, you would have, assumedly, Baker Mayfield under contract. You did take a quarterback in the second round in Kyle Trask, um, and I would say still round two would still be surprising. Once you get to round three and round four, The only assumption I would be able to make at that point, Billy, would be if you are drafting a guy in the third or fourth round, you're moving on from Kyle Trask in some way, shape, or form. Be it,
Sure.
and that's not him finishing out his contract. I mean, that means that you're trading him very soon. Because if you get a third or fourth guy in
Yeah.
round 3 or 4, he's going to be your third, second, whatever it may be.
Well,
So,
he's gonna, yeah, because Walford's not going anywhere.
yeah, possibly even fourth quarterbacks. I mean, like, it's
So
just
so Trask would be the odd man out in that scenario.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, like, that is the assumption that I would make is if you take a quarterback in round 3 or round 4, bye bye Kyle Trask, he's going somewhere else. Which maybe that's the right decision, maybe that's the wrong decision. To move on from Trask as a backup. Um, what are your thoughts and opinions about taking quarterback in those middle rounds?
Yeah, I think I would be surprised and would not be for it in round two either. My round two take and round one take are very similar. Yeah, three and four is a different story. I just think the Buccaneers are not a team without needs or a team without holes. And round one and round two, if you're doing it right, you should get two starters, or at the very least, two impact players. So those impact players have to be able to play on the field in order to be impact players and have an impact. And backup quarterbacks don't play, right? You can't run a multiple quarterback offense. So I think the Buccaneers have bigger needs to address. I just don't know that it's the best use. Like I said, I don't look at it as the best use of assets. Past that, round three, round four, yeah, then I think the only thing that taking a quarterback means at that point, obviously, it's no jeopardy to Baker Mayfield. It's more of Kyle Trask. We don't really believe in you as the two. And yeah, we see potential in this guy that he could develop down the line.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I would agree with that. And look, um, to say like it'd be some people may even say, well, that's a wasted pick because that guy he's not even going to be a guy in the future. I mean, look, Kirk Cousins was a fourth round pick. Brock Purdy was playing the Super Bowl. He was a seventh round pick. Um, Point being is that like impact players and quarterbacks also can come from anywhere. That's an important thing to note. If this is the best quarterback draft class in the past 10 to 15 years, then that means it's really good from top to bottom. So also taking a guy in the middle round shouldn't be counted out either, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm curious to get your take on this. I don't know if we're still, it's the year of definitive takes.
Mm-hmm.
So if I could put you on the spot, if you feel comfortable definitively, James,
Mm-hmm.
do the Buccaneers draft a quarterback? Definitive yes or definitive no?
Mm.
I got
Do
you.
they
Did I
draft
get
a
you good?
quarterback? I'm gonna say yes.
Ooh, definitive? It's got to be
Def-
definitive,
it's
James.
definitive. They will draft a quarterback.
Wow.
I will
Okay.
say that. Where is it? Where's that quarterback being drafted? I don't know. We'll figure that out when we figure that out. But I will go on record. What about you?
I'm definitive no.
Okay.
I don't see, I don't think Todd Bowles really likes young quarterbacks. I think Jason Light did that with Kyle Trask, kind of saw that that wasn't the most successful idea. I think that John Wolford's comfort with the Rams offense can't be understated. I think that's something that matters to coaches. And I do believe that Baker Mayfield will be back. And I think that Bowles has done nothing but rave about Baker Mayfield. The offensive coordinator was brought in to work with Baker Mayfield. Jason Light has done nothing but rave about Baker Mayfield. So I don't think they're looking for a guy for the future. I think really the scenario would be, again, like you talked about, something to do with Trask. And I don't think Kyle Trask played so poorly last preseason that you would go out and spend a draft pick to ixnay him.
They'll get one in the seventh round, and I'll still be right.
You would be right, 100%. You would get that. You'd get that win.
I'd get this. I get the star. Um, but yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see. It is an interesting question. It is an interesting scenario. The last thing that I want to talk about here is this. The Chicago Bears have released two players that are very interesting. They have released Eddie Jackson, safety, and Cody Whitehair, the guard. Now, I've seen a lot of people on social media, Bucs social media specifically, saying, now hold on a minute. Because apparently, Billy, I think this is correct. I think this is correct. If you are released from your contract you can sign at any time. I believe that's how it worked. I tried doing some research about it, and it didn't say anything to dispute that. It said once a player is released from their contract, they can sign anywhere else at any time. Um, a lot of people have thought about the idea of, hey, Eddie Jackson, Cody Whitehair, bring them in, bring
Yeah.
them in. Now, I would say let me before I give my thoughts and opinions, let me get your thoughts and opinions about that. The idea of Eddie Jackson and Cody Whitehair, two very good players at their positions, by the way.
Yeah,
Possibility of them joining the Tampa
and
Bay
at positions
Buccaneers.
where you think the Buccaneers could definitely look to upgrade
Yeah,
this offseason. I don't. I just don't think the Buccaneers are in. I feel like it's not what you want to hear, but I just don't think the Buccaneers are in a position where right now let's focus on outside players. I think the Buccaneers have to focus on their players. And as much money as they possibly can allocate to Mike Evans, Antoine Winfield Jr., Baker Mayfield needs to be allocated to those players. So, yeah, on paper, bring him in. I mean, that would be amazing. I think Eddie Jackson, he's playmaker, fantastic. The guard position, whether or not you feel like, Mal could develop into something because it was just his rookie year and definitely showed growth, but left guard, maybe potentially an area that you would want to investigate, to put it nicely. So yeah, I definitely think it'd be great, but I just don't know that the Bucs are in a position where other teams' free agents are priorities. I think they are more, if I had to guess the free agency plan for the Bucs this year, I think they're going to be focused on bringing in their own talent, and then Jason Light's going to look for bargain deals like he has done in years past, where he has hit big, like guys like Shaq Barrett, right, where he brings in Shaq Barrett on a very cheap deal, and everybody he kind of flies right under the radar, and then Shaq Barrett turns out to be a stud for the Buccaneers defense. So I think that's kind of where. I think Jason Light's going to be looking more to hit singles and doubles, not home runs this offseason in terms of other teams' talent.
I agree with you in saying this. Today, right now, today, the Bucs cannot think about the idea of bringing in Eddie Jackson and Cody Whitehair. They have much bigger things to worry about.
Yeah.
Okay, they do. So to say that this is a possibility right now is not a thing. Okay? It's just not a possibility right now because you have to bring back Mike Evans, you have to bring back Antoine Winfield Jr., you have to bring back Baker Mayfield, and also the other like 20 guys that are on that free agency list for your own names or consider.
Long list.
It's a long list. Now, if these guys are still available a month from now, because I believe free agency is actually a month away from today, Eddie Jackson's an interesting name. Now, he was paid a lot of money over there in Chicago. What makes me hesitant on Eddie Jackson is that he plays the same exact position Antoine Field Jr. plays. And you could move one of them over to strong safety, but I would much rather get a more natural strong safety who probably wouldn't cost as much as Eddie Jackson, who might even be a bit younger. Eddie Jackson, I believe, is 30, 31 years old. In the case of Cody White here, who I believe he's also 31 years old, maybe 32, I agree with you. Where, man, if he does make it to free agency, I would for sure be interested if I was the Bucs. And we've talked about Hainsey at center. Do you want to move him back over to guard? I still think that would be the preferred move. If the Bucs did want to keep Robert Hainsey at center and just say, well, Ryan Jensen's officially gone. We have our starting center for the past couple of years. We're going to keep him there. In Robert Hainsey, yeah, go get Cody Whitehair. I mean, that'd be a great name to bring in, a veteran guard who I don't think would necessarily break the bank. He may be due for a bigger payday, but I don't think he'd necessarily break the bank on a 2-year, maybe a 3-year deal, something along those lines. Is a guy that would, I think, be a great benefit next to Tristan Wirfs and next to Robert Hainsey. It would really give some. It'd be crazy to see how one signing could change the complexity of that offensive line. Your left side now, you're looking at Tristan Wirfs and Cody Whitehair. That's pretty darn good combo over on your left side. On your right side, you have Luke Gedeke, who developed really well at right tackle, which hopefully that continues. And you have Cody Mock, who did some good things as a rookie, and you hope that he could improve as well. And then Hainsey would be in at center, and at least he's had the experience for the past couple of years. It's not a terrible offensive line, in my opinion. Is that
No,
fair
and
to
you would
say?
hope offensive line play in general tends to get better with continuity. It's a chemistry, teamwork style, of position. So a second year next to each other, referencing Malcolm Gedeke, I think will improve their play. As you saw them get better down the stretch, I think they'll continue to get better because they'll grow in tandem. Like it's not a solo position. When you're an offensive lineman, you're playing with and in rhythmic tandem with the guys around you. So yeah, it's easier to play next to Tristan Wirfs because he's tremendous. But even still, you have to be in lockstep and be communicative with the people around you. And having that chemistry, even kicking it one into Hainsey, those three guys will have all played together consecutively now for, this going into their second year as a trio there. And then you would just be subbing out one spot. And thankfully, that spot happens to be the guy who's going to be playing next to the best of the group. So you would anticipate that should be, yeah,
And he'd be
an unit and a solid unit.
and it wouldn't be a rookie, it'd be a vet,
Yeah.
that matters as well. Like you're bringing in a guy who's been a starter in this league for, I mean, gosh, multiple years, right? Almost double digit years. Um and he's still good enough, I would say, to where he could be a serviceable guy for a couple of years, right? Or I would even say an above average starter for a couple of years. So that would 100% be a signing I'd be interested in. More so than Eddie Jackson, I would say, right? That is what I would say. Um, but we'll see. Today it doesn't make sense. In a month, if they're still out there in the market, hey, why not? But a couple more interesting names added to the free
Yeah.
agency list. Tom Bailey.
Yeah, I would agree completely. Today makes no sense at all. Down the line, after the Buccaneers handle their business, yes, I do think that that's something that, you know, I do think that's something you look at, or two players you look at.
Yeah. So we'll see, folks. We'll see. But with that being said, Billy, we've been going for about 45 minutes now. You know what it's time
Uh-oh.
for? Oh
Uh-oh.
yeah, it's time. It's time. Let me see if I can pull it up. Hold on just a moment. There we go.
I'm so excited.
It is time for the Immaculate Grid, everybody. We have a wow, okay, we have a fun one here.
Oh, I love the sound of it. I can't wait to see it on the screen, Jace. I'm so
Let
excited.
me go ahead and share my screen. Here we go. All right, folks. We're doing the Immaculate Grid.
Shout out to that other Bears logo. Like that's the actual bear versus the C. I like the
Right?
actual bear.
It is a good one. All right. Here we go. We're going to
Creepy
end off
cluster.
this live stream the only way we know how, and that's by doing an Immaculate Grid. We got the New England Patriots and the Chicago Bears.
First one I think of is Akeem Hicks.
Really?
Yeah.
First one I think of is Brian Hoyer or N'Keal Harry.
Ooh, N'Keal Harry.
I'm going to go with N'Keal Harry. If we can even find him. Here he is. Ah!
Oh no, it's so
We're
high.
off to a bad start. I
No.
thought that was going to be money. I thought that was going to be money.
Wow. Okay. That was,
Patriots,
we got to lock in
Patriots,
now.
Patriots, and Panthers.
Patriots, Panthers.
Cam Newton is the first name that comes to mind. Are there any linebackers that played? I'm trying to think. Any linebackers, safeties? Jake Delhomme, Vinny Testaverde. He ever play for the Panthers? Was he even around long enough?
Vinny Testaverde.
It's an interesting name. Was there ever? I feel like there was a guard. Wasn't there a guard that played?
I'm imagining tight ends right now.
Yeah.
Trying to think of a tight end.
Hmm. I'm not too sure.
I got one for Patriots Browns.
Okay, what's that one?
Tell me if you think it's good or if it's too obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Jamie Collins. Is it too obvious? Also, Brian Hoyer fits here as well.
You want to go Brian Hoyer? I think Brian Hoyer is.
I think it's going to be too obvious. I'm scared Brian Hoyer is going to be too obvious,
We
man.
can go Jamie Collins.
I think they both might be too. We could do better.
We'll do.
I
We
think
could.
we could do
We could
better.
do Jamie Collins.
We also have who's the safety?
Somebody said Vinny Testaverde did play.
Good old Vinny T.
There we go. All
There it
right.
is. All right, that's back to our winning ways.
Somebody said. Oh, we already did the. We. Somebody said Christian. Willie said Christian
Wow, that would have
Fauria.
been an insane pull. I
Yeah.
forgot all about Christian Fourier. Great call. Who? Classic Willie.
Patriots and Browns. What are we thinking?
Benjamin Watson.
Ben Watt. Okay. Hold on one second. Okay. Sorry about that. I was responding to a text message. Um, Patriots and Browns. I'm fine with going Jamie Collins. I don't think people remember that Jamie Collins played for the Browns.
Do you think Jamie Collins is better than Ben Watson?
Did you say Ben Watson?
I did.
Oh, okay. I'll go Ben Watson.
I think Benjamin Watson is better.
Oh,
Woo-hoo! Come
wow.
on.
Oh my goodness.
Come
Okay.
on.
Packers
Now we're
and
rolling.
Bears.
J Pep is the obvious one.
Jake Pep?
Julius Peppers.
Oh. I was like, who?
J Pep. Um,
Tanyan. Robert Tanyan.
okay. We gotta date ourselves. We gotta go back a little bit.
Okay.
Give me a bear from your childhood who
Did
played for the
James
Pack.
Starks ever play for the.
James Starks.
Did Rex Grossman ever play for the Packers? Oh, Martellus Bennett. That's a good one.
Martellus Bennett. Okay.
Oh, Jimmy Graham?
Yeah, Jimmy Graham.
Let's
He
go,
played
Jim.
for both of them.
You want to go Jimmy Graham? No way.
Our top row is terrible right now.
Really?
Wow.
Packers and Panthers.
Guys, this is not good.
Well, as long as we're immaculate. Remember our original
The bar
goal?
is high now. The bar is high,
I
James.
guess we're not gonna beat
Scored
a.
a 19 last
How
time
the heck are we gonna beat a 19, dude?
with an 18.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Packers and Panthers.
Again, Julius Peppers. He played for like all of these teams. He fits in
You
every
just want to,
column.
yeah.
Um, let's see. Let's see.
Jay Peppers is good here. I think we're gonna save Julius Peppers for the 50 plus sacks in a career for the Bears Panthers.
Yeah, he also fits everywhere.
He fits everywhere.
He does fit it.
Julius
Literally.
Peppers is immortal.
And
Packers, Panthers. That's a good question. That is a good question. What do you think? Is there a corner? Like a Rasul Douglas or Jalen Mills or something? Steve Bono, says Willie. Willie from the top rope. All right, we're going Steve
Steve
Bono.
Bono. Who is Steve Bono?
It's a guy who only
Wow.
1% of people know.
Well done.
I've heard the name Steve Bono.
That is just classic Willie, too.
Packers,
He also pulled
Browns. Packers,
Demetrius Randall.
who? Oh,
Demetrius,
the safety.
yeah.
It's a good one.
Um,
It's not a bad one. Charlie
Tramon Williams, too.
Tremont Williams. That's a good
Yeah.
one.
I don't know Willie, tell us who's better out of
We're
those.
going Tremont Williams. I like
We're
that
going
pick.
Tramon Williams.
Look at
2%.
that. Okay.
All right.
Now 50 plus sacks in their career.
So this is now to be clear, they could have one sack with the team we put as long as
When
they
paired with
had.
a team, no, they must have played in at least one game.
But the 50 sacks didn't have to come with the team.
Correct.
So it's just a good pass rusher who played for the Bears.
Correct.
Okay.
Julius Peppers is in there.
Did Jared Allen play for the Bears? Chad, help
Yes.
me. Did
Yes.
Vikings Jared Allen? I know
Yeah.
he played around at the end of his career. Did he play for the
He,
Chicago Bears?
I think he totally did.
I'm pretty sure he played for the Panthers actually too. I think was Jared Allen was he on the Panthers when they went to the Super Bowl with Cam 2015?
That's what I'm wondering.
I'm he played I vividly remember that. I think he played for the Panthers
Mm.
in my head.
Browns. Jadeveon Clowney, did he ever have 50 sacks? Has he had 50 plus yet?
We could dig deeper than that.
Okay.
Our bottom row and our middle row have to remain pristine. The top row, we have struggled with Bears players.
Steve
Those are our
Mondo,
obvious.
Steve Mondo McMichael says Vaughn. Hmm. Interesting. Interesting conundrums.
I was about to say, Willis, I just read your comment, and I was about to be like, when could we have picked Baker Mayfield? Certainly, we would, as members of the Baker Brigade, if Baker Mayfield comes up as an option, rarity score to the side, we must plug and play. He
Allen
has
did
to.
play for the Bears. Well, then we're going Jared Allen.
Nice, Willie.
Only
There it is. Okay.
5. Okay.
Okay.
Top row redeemed. Panthers, 50 plus
I think
sacks in
Jared
a
Allen
career.
also played for the Panthers.
I believe he
I know
did.
we can't use him twice, but I think he did. How about ah, Kevin Green.
Okay. We are going to go Kevin Green. Okay.
Oh, that's so high.
Yeah.
Wow.
50 plus sacks in a career for the Browns. This is for Immaculate, Billy. Remember our original goals in life. I don't even think Miles is Miles Garrett at 50? He's probably at 50. You seem
A
torn.
good Browns pass rusher.
Yeah.
Who played for the Browns? I'm trying to think of like just random players who happen to put on a Cleveland Browns uniform after doing lots of other things elsewhere.
It's fair. Willie McGinnis?
Willie McGinnis definitely played for the Browns.
I mean, it's from Willie. So Willie says Willie. I'm going for it. All right.
Oh, .9.
All
Look at
right.
that bottom row.
So our score was 65. Where does that rank amongst our Immaculate Grid scores?
That is our third best score of all time.
Well, come on. That's not that bad.
Not that good either.
Come
It's not
on
record
now.
setting.
All right.
But yeah, that is our third best. They made the top three. Well done.
Heck yeah. Well,
Willie, way to clutch it at the end.
per
Appreciate you as always.
per usual. But with that being said, Billy, we're gonna end off this show. Do you have any final words before we go ahead and peace out of here? You're sad.
I'm not sad. Baker Mayfield is coming back.
Uh,
And I'm just so curious. I cannot wait to find the number. I just want to know what the number is so we can hop on here and discuss it.
that'd be fun.
I can't wait.
It'll be a
I can't
waiting
wait to find
game.
out what the number is.
It'll be a waiting game. We'll see. We'll see. But
How about you? Any closing thoughts from the one and only Mr. Bucs Nation?
no, it's a good show, man. It's a good show. We're just gonna, should have one tomorrow. We have to figure out what the heck we're gonna talk about tomorrow.
Hey, what about who's that quarterback on the Bucks?
Baker
Baker
Mayfield. We don't
Mayfield.
talk about that guy a lot. We can talk about him. But all right, guys,
Tomorrow we'll do better on we'll redeem ourselves
for
on the
sure,
Mac.
for sure. But all right, guys, well, listen, it was fun. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. But
Yes.
go subscribe to Billy. We're trying to get him to 1,000 subscribers. It'd be a beautiful thing. He's got something big planned. What is it? You'll find out. But guys, as always, we'll see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.